The first seminar was about the role of financial security to overcome economic crisis in Indonesia. This is the second seminar that look at how we learn from other countries in recovering our tourism industry. Today, we are very grateful to have three distinguished speakers, international speakers, the leading expert in the tourism science and business. So we would like to express our sincere appreciation to the speakers, and I hope all participants from all countries in the world also enjoy this web seminar and take away and enjoyable insights from today's speaker. So I'm sure everyone cannot wait for this and to have uh, a, a lesson learned from other countries, from Australia, from Japan, from Thailand, Bangkok, all over the world. So I think today's seminar is very important. That we hope we are able to get some ideas how we put recommendation to our government and how to we overcome the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on tourism sector. So without further ado, I would like to officially open this seminar, and thank you again for joining us. So this seminar is part of our commitment to the government, to be more relevant to the government and to be more recognized. So we will have another seminar in the future to present another aspect of COVID from capital market point of view, from education point of view. So thank you very much. Enjoy this seminar. Thank you again.
Next session is a photo session. There will be 3 sessions, so I'd like to invite all panelists. So please turn on your camera and we will be taking a snapshot. Next, I'll be calling all the panelists as well as committee to turn on their videos. Last but not least, please to our audiences to also turn on your video so we can take a group photo all together virtually. Alright, moving on to our next agenda. The next session will be handled by our moderator for the day. But before that, please let me introduce our Madam Moderator for the day. Ms. Indah Permata Suryani is a lecturer in Andalas University. She finished her master's degree in Accounting and Finance in Birmingham University in 2018. Our Madam Moderator has also been active in various tourism activities as a tourism ambassador of West Sumatra in 2007 till 2008. To Ms. Indah, time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Tourism Webinar held by Faculty of Economics in collaboration with Tourism Development Center, Andalas University. The topic today, we're going to discuss about tourism recovery from COVID-19 pandemic. Please welcome the Excellencies Dean and Vice Dean Faculty of Economics, Andalas University, distinguished guests, distinguished speakers, and all participants from the different time zones. We would like to say thank you very much to all of the participants that has been joined in this event. Based on our record, there are about 12 countries that has been joined with us. It's from Thailand, Bangladesh, Iraq, Oman, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Australia. Before we start the conversation, I would like to greet all of the invited speakers today. Have been with us in this early morning, Associate Professor Suwaree Ashton, Ph.D. from Thailand. So Professor Ann is the Associate Dean for Adminstration, the Graduate School of Tourism Management, and also has been working National Institute of Development Administration, NIDA, Thailand. Sawadee ka, Dr. Ann? Sawadee ka. Thank you. The second one is from Indonesia, Dr. Sari Lenggogeni, Ph.D. as the Director of Tourism Development Center, Andalas University. Selamat pagi, Bu Sari. And last but not least, our keynote speaker today is Professor Noel Scott as Adjunct Professor in Tourism University of the Sunshine Coast, Australia. Good day, Professor Noel. Right, I can see Prof. Noel here. Okay, good day. So we also had a special guest that has been joining with us from Japan. It's Dr. Hayato Nagai from Wakayama University. Good morning, Dr. Hayato. And also Dr. Watsida. Good morning. And Dr. Watsida from Thailand. Good morning, Dr. Watsida. And we also have Mr. Bayan from Jawi Jawi community. Selamat pagi, Pak Bayan. And Mr. Bayan going to have the interesting insight of this, and also Mr. Ian Hanifa as the head of Tour and Travel. Good morning, Mr. Ian. And I would like to greet all of the distinguished participants today from all over the world. As you can see on my screen, a lot of participants today. It has been joined around 500, but might be this morning already joined about 300 participants with us together. Okay, I would like to remind the agenda, the first and the rules on the webinar. Please stay unmute the microphone for all participants and turn on your camera. And don't forget, if you have any question, do it in the question and answer session. And we're going to put several questions that will be related. Okay, my name is Inda. I will be serving you as a moderator for the next 2 hours. And distinguished speaker, ladies and gentlemen, as we know, the coronavirus pandemic is the first and foremost a humanitarian crisis that is affecting people's life and has triggered a global economic crisis. This is a very actually tangible impact to the tourism sector that will really critical to the many people, places, and also businesses. This impact particularly felt in the country's cities and region where tourism actually is an important part of the economy.
Okay, so I'm so sorry for the technical issue. So Dr. An participant for the technical issue. So let me just start from the beginning, from the CV of the Dr. An. So the first speaker will be talk about the wellness tourism amid COVID-19 pandemic. Before we invite Dr. An, I would like to read the review of her biography that has been shown also on the screen. Dr. An has been completed a study in Master Business in International Hotel Management in the University of Queensland, and also completed Ph.D. in the School of Tourism in University of Queensland. And Dr. An also been also win some paper, like the winner of the best paper, with the title Thailand's Street Food and Brand Image Development. And her area of expertise is actually related to wellness tourism development and also hotel restaurant co-branding. And we would like to hear the insight from Dr. An, insight from Thailand. So I would like to invite her to come. So Dr. An, time is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much for your introduction.
Okay. Waiting for the slide. Right, thank you very much. So time is yours, yeah, Dr. An.
Wellness tourism. So today, may I introduce about some of my research outcome and also about the situation of wellness tourism in Thailand. As we just heard, for the outline today, I will tell a little bit Thailand. When is the tourist we're gonna start, and many people want to come here and want to go out. But what is the situation? I will be talking brief about that. And also, I will give you a little of the brief of wellness tourism and wellness definition, and then 3 case studies where I have done about wellness tourism. The first one is about active aging group tourists who have 50 and above, and a long distance run during the a little bit of brief my. After that, please. And that we have just since we have the country been doing very well, only 500 affected of the COVID-19, of death is very minimal. We are doing it in our country, and we thank you, government, and also everyone very well cooperate with the system that we need to do. So recently that we will open our country for the first time in 8th of October. We will the first flight from Guangzhou, where is approximately 120 tourists will be arrive Thailand. But this group will have for 14 days. So it means that it's just like agreement with this tourist group. There will be a long stay tour. So this is very first group of the tourists after we have the pandemic of the COVID-19, and after that we have 7 business Chinese come from Guangzhou as well. They will come with private jet. They will be arriving at the Suwaree airport. And on 25th, we will have some more people come from Scandinavian, which is they will also the same. All of these will be a long stay tourists to come, and they will be quarantined. The government provide a place for them. So they are to be quarantined for 14 days, and after that they will be around. So this is what is the latest news. The place that will be landing, they are in Phuket, and then they are in Suwaree Airport, International Airport. And what do you think about that? So let me discuss this again later. So what I want to talk about today, the first is about the wellness activities and for the 50 aging group, and about situation. What situation in Thailand about stakeholders, how they think. So basically, what is the active aging group? Active aging group now is a very popular in Thailand, and I think is the one is because actually they're not allowed to go out a high that they're stable. So they're a group that that I think when I talk to them, there will be the next slide is the one. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, I come back to that. Okay, next slide, please. Right, next one. Okay, great. Actually, the aging group, and I think it's the people who have 80 and above, and these people are more concerned about their health. And in Thailand now become quite popular. I think one of the major tourist group in Thailand, where they want to go out but they can't, and then they have to go to traveling around. Since Thailand start to open the destination for tourists, so this group are willing to go, anywhere. They're willing to spend money because they spend less than they go overseas. In the past, this group, they will go out from the country. They don't stay in Thailand. So the wellness in Thailand are now, I mean, not only Thailand, I guess around the world, it become more demand. And I will tell more result in later of my study. Next slide, please. So that the participant of my study, I collect data by in-depth interview of the people, both Thai and foreign. It's approximately 40 of the participants that we have in-depth interview, and also we have over 300 of the quantitative approach with the sample. So next slide, please. Basically, when we ask them, about the they like to do, they're walking, photo taking, or they are doing food and eat, and also they like to do some dancing, and now also like to do the activities where they call like long distance running, or they go to do cycling. So at least almost every activity that they like to explore, but actually they're really related to the health and well-being. So talking about, next slide please, the motivation to the wellness activities, and they like to do activity as normal, but they are willing to do more. So when we talk to them, they feel that the world happening like that, they need to come back to look after their health. So basically the activities for wellness, the COVID-19 actually do the good thing for a lot of people, especially, you know, the adults and the mature people. They come back to look after themselves more than ever. So this is a very good point within our hotel stakeholders and the hotel industry, starting to think about a program that can provide for this group. The result of that, so basically we are they like to be not want to be in the major tourist destination because they think that maybe they're unsafe, but they like to go to local. They like to join with the local restaurant. They like to join with the place where they have a lot of this distant from the tourists. And usually the thing that they like to have is, you know, like for local wisdom. One of the activities that they like to join is as a spa. Also, they like to be with the local, you know, they like to be like physical health and socialize, something like that. So the result that I found about the strong point of develop resources for the wellness tourists, for example, because Thailand, we have the more unique, can you move slide please? Next one. And next one. Yeah, please, thanks. This is what we found, that the active aging group that they like the most unique Thai massage and the spa, use product, you know, and friendly of the staff in Thailand, Thai culture services, and attention and care, professional and knowledge, and must have the certificate and the cleanliness of the place, healthcare, especially now in Thailand where we have COVID-19. So when I asked this group, they said that they hesitate to go, but they still want to go out and to explore the things, but they still stick in their mind. So my suggestion, I think, that how can we make them feel comfortable, you know? So next slide, please. The high expectation from the aging group and 50 and above. So they said that for the hospitality industry, spa and restaurant, need to group the places just as a service and social distancing. You know that like a hotel restaurant now, they provide gel and alcohol. As you go anywhere in Thailand, even though in the shopping center and the market, you will have someone sitting in front of the shopping store, you know, and then they put the sticker on. It means you pass quarantine. The thing you have to do is just check the temperature, and then you wash your hand. So this is become a new normal in Thailand. Everywhere we have to do that. But for the tourist group, they said that, you know, my participants said that they want to travel around Thailand in their mind, 80%, but still 20% that they feel that they may be unsafe. So that the thing that they want us to do, the thing that they want the hotel and industry to do, is to make a space more, and then to be more strict with the staff about sanitizing, you know, adhere to the health and the hazard rules strictly. They still want to go to travel, but they feel that the COVID-19 is not over yet, you know. So basically, they in Thailand, in domestic country, some are out there, and then our hotel industry now starting to open. Next slide, please. So I do my study. So I have a draft model. This is not quite ready of my study. I'm doing wellness activity experience. This is a rough idea of the wellness tourists, what they have in mind, you know. So basically, at the antecedent of this group, they said that they will have a goal-driven So the growth-driven motivation is happening from past experience and then present interest. And then there are 4 dimensions of the wellness that they are interested. The first one is that they want to improve their physical, their mental, their social, and their emotional. And after that, they'll design about their future, where they want to be and what they want to do. And my results found that they have 2 things of this group go out. They say they want to have health improvement, and another one is self-fulfillment about themselves. And the level of wellness, and also we have 3 levels from passive, more, and so again that info with information. So at this group they said that about making money, about they care about out and have fun. It's 50 and above. There may be emptiness. We don't have kids at home. Quality of life is it become, and also, as we know that the next years, the majority of the people are the older age, and the birth rate is going down. So why that these people should be pay attention? So this is my some of my results. So can I have the next long distance? Next slide. Another study that conduct the COVID-19, also about the long for the wellness tourism. We have a 6 long distance running. One of the study that I conducted was it been 5 years, and for Jombung, 2 hour 3 hour drive from Bangkok. As the next slide, the statistic of the number of the it getting more and from next slide from 2012 and up to 2021 is over 7,000 join us. If you see 2012, so this number you can see of the people who said about wellness, and every weekend people go out and run. They don't patient. They don't money, or they don't run for free. But the main thing is they are going out and have. So can I have next slides? So my project, next slide, that I conduct that it's for the, I got from the government to do this project. Picture on the left that I'm talking about the form of the tourism and ministry in Thailand. He is a director project. So we went to I just told you before our case study. The government are patient to this wellness tourism project. They want to develop a better, like a quality, So actually, my report have already finished, and now it's in maybe in the office or somewhere. Hope get in action somehow. And this is some of the participants that I have interviewed for the. Basically, these people are organized the event, and then they have some of the to come up. We have COVID-19. And this impact have been, we into so the good thing is that Thailand is become aware more about health, and then the tour operator now starting to concern about the package program since we don't have the international tourists. So many tour operators in Thailand, some of them starting to come up with the activities where they include in there, so there are more high demand about this, and then they're thinking themselves, but there's still not many people in Thailand. We need to develop is to get the status and the people in the hotel industry, or the tour operator to come up with the concept of the wellness tourism. And one of the hotel, said in the old days they have only internal staff, one person to with activity about yoga, but they have to hire out in terms of the choosing their activities when they go travel around. So basically, they said that they like to do yoga. Approximately I pay about 80 Australian dollars per month, and also they teach about aerobic dance, and all ballroom dancing. So basically, the activities that provide for the 50 and 58 and above, it will be some kind of maybe I don't think that it's maybe extreme or active activities. Maybe it's moderate and maybe a passive, but they like just to enjoy the activities. Okay, so next slide, please. I think I almost come to the end about my my talk. One they said when you enter, you need to take your, and the staff come, and grab the shoe for the guest, and then she put the shoe guest into the rack and out her hand, she, this is happened. Let's health and wellness and about cleaning. I would and then you go to enjoy, and then you go to enjoy religion is different. Spiritual tourism is different from religion tourism. And another thing that I found that I conclude for my speak, next slide please, for my talk today is about online information. That you wouldn't believe that the people who age above 50 and retirement, they are using new technology. They're using the app. You think that only young people use it, the old doesn't use it. Actually, they can use better than us because sometimes they have their grandchildren teach them, and so I would suggest that online marketing and about the information, so you can give it to them, provide to them where else that they can go, about the safety and security, that is a must. New way of product and service delivery, which is nowadays that you can see, the people delivery the product to home, the people that want to get out, but it become a norm now, when you want to eat something. So that is about that. And then tourist behavior, active aging, retirement, and millennial group is a group that we should pay attention. So that's a set of my talking today. So if you have question, you maybe can ask or post. Thank you very much. May I hand over to you, Inda. Thank you. Okay. What is next? Are there any question, or will continue first?
Good afternoon, everyone. That's not yet.
Ya. Bang, off screen bentar ya. Masuk enggak kan?
Ya.
Ini juga enggak kan?
Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. All right. Sorry for the technical issues. Yeah. All good? Right. All good?
Udah belum? Udah nyala, udah tekan.
Udah? Kalau share screen ini gimana? Share screen ini?
nanti di sama bentar. Uni nanti sekarang aja, nanti kan digadiin itu. Ini kan enggak bohongan. Ini apa? Ini hapus screen aja ya. Ini hapus screen ya. Kamera. Ini ada indah om.
Iya kak.
Siapa?
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Sorry for technical issue. It's just an honor for me to speak in front of you all. And thank you for joining us today. And appreciate it to Honorable Faculty of Economics for this opportunity and the great team for having me here. I would also like to say hi to my mentor, Professor Noel from Australia. Hi Noel. And best friend of mine, Associate Professor at Ashton in Thailand, and Dr. Hayato Nagai from Japan. I also saw Dr. Shenas join us today from Malaysia. So we are graduated from the School of Tourism, University of Queensland. Dr. Watsida, glad to know you. Mr. Bear, the CEO of the Jawi community, and Mr. Ian Hanafia as the head of Travel Association. And allow me to extend my warm greeting to our special participants from various countries, more than 12 countries. I also saw Bhutan's, my friends from Bhutan also joined us today from the various time zones. Hope you and family is doing good and stay safe during this difficult time. So I think I would like to share my screen.
Udah.
Screen, all good? All good?
Udah.
Yeah, all right. Right, my today presentations will take a big picture. I'm not going to talk more about coping mechanisms, but I would like to take a big picture of how COVID-19 impacts the tourism sectors survive and revive, taking from the supply and so here is the outline of my presentation today. I will have a look firstly from the supply side condition before we narrow it down to the tourist side, and I will come up with a recommendation and four scenarios at the end of presentations. So tourism sectors is very prone to the crisis and disasters. I think we still remember in 2001 the 9/11 event hit the United States, the Bali bombing 1 and the Bali bombing 2, hit Indonesia, SARS and bird flu in Asia Pacific countries, and the 2004 in the Boxing Days of December that has that we faced the very difficult times for Indian Ocean tsunami and Japan tsunami 2011, and what we are facing today, the worldwide outbreak of COVID-19 has brought the world and standstill while the tourism sector has been worst affected of all major economic sectors today. Even the folklore says it appears that we are living in an increasingly disaster-prone world. So what I'm going to discuss today is I will pick 3 out of 5 stages for this tourism disaster management crisis and disaster stages, according to the folklores. So in today's agenda, I would like to highlight the situations and strategies in the 3 out of 5 phases, and that what we are facing today is the reflection of Indonesian tourism sectors from the double perspective, supply side and demand side, that we will discuss in the following slides in detail. All right. So the record of COVID-19 pandemic sector milestone from global to local show a detailed development as follows. It firstly found first case in Wuhan and we also remember a lot of sensationalist news in November 19th, where the global infodemic appeared and tourist fears escalated at the moment. And the first case from Indonesia announced March 2nd, and then we start to experience a downturn in tourism intention, especially in the aviation sectors. And then international travel restrictions from the central government has been released in 23rd of March in 2020. And at the times, 4 provinces in Indonesia released the lockdown or semi-lockdowns, where it has a turbulent effect on the tourism industry. And for example, the hotel rate occupancy went down for about 32.5, and tour travels also experienced the same. So when the governments released the lockdown and make the interventions for the lockdowns, and the tourism industry work with the surveillance system, health system, using tracking, testing, and tracing through the tourism workers in the hotel industry. So at the times, we conducted and we run the tourism's activities due to the cash controls, and the West Sumatra has the lowest positivity rates. And when it comes to the transitions from this lockdown to the new normal phase, where activities can be run to improve and boost the economic, and then the hotel rate occupancies rocketed to 30 to 80%. And then what has happened? When it's restarting the tourism sector, the new case identified due to the quarantine market feel the negative emotions and the euphoria and failures on health in protocol implementation in some tourist destinations. So what we're facing today is when the case is getting increased, we felt back again the downturns in tourism industries because nobody's want to go travels, because it feels like the cases are around us today, and the lower travel intentions from the flights, domestic passengers, and high alert situations. But still, the tourism industry working with surveillance health system using the PCR test included in the hotels. And fortunately, in this month, the governments we had government interventions where there is law enforcement for COVID-19 health protocol just released officially that impacted to the person, tourism, all sectors for in order to flattening the curve for case of COVID-19. So what we found here is there is a high interdependency between tourism and health sector. So tourism cannot work alone. They need to have the consultation and collaboration with the health sectors. The Ministry of Tourism in Republic of Indonesia, while Indonesia experienced a sharp increase and significant growth of tourism sectors in tourism years, according to TTCI World Economic Forums, tourism contributes significantly to Indonesian incomes as the second $16.1 million to $3.1 million, according to the Ministry of Tourism report up to July 2020. So here is in the big pictures, the tourism sectors experience worse impact amongst other sectors for about $5.85 billion US dollars, or 500 million monthly, and also by for hotels and restaurants as a tourism industry for about almost 5,000 million US dollar in revenues, where 2,000 hotels and 800 restaurants closed. And also it also impacted to the tours operators and aviation with estimation 10,000 million US in revenues. And unfortunately, almost 7,000 tours operators has disclosures, and almost 95% of workers has unpaid leave. So this is very sad of the conditions tourism industry in Indonesia. It is therefore, I would like to say, the crisis and disaster in a developing country cannot be generalized across other countries, because we face the complex and the multiple issues, also the impacts through the, for example, health system and trained medical worker. What we had so far confirmed about around 200 loss of health workers. And we also 9.4% of the population live below the national poverty line. So they feel the difficulties when they are running their daily activities during the lockdowns. And the socio-cultural impacts, because up to 17,000, more than 17,000 islands, and we are living in high context culture countries, is hard to manage with the biggest populations. And not to forget, we are living in the ring of fires countries that we also facing another risk of disaster. So this is the according to Lenggogeni, Ritchie, and Slaughter 2019. So all of this crisis and disaster undoubtedly have an impact to the tourism industry. This crisis and disaster, they divided into the political crisis and disaster, such as 9/11, Bali bombing, or physical disasters for SARS, bird flu, MERS, and COVID-19, just like what we are facing now, and the natural disasters impacted to the negative image on tourism and safety issue. So it's have bring the serious discussion from tourism scholars in terms of mitigation for each stages, and in particular the travelers' behaviors. Because the risk, it shaped the risk perception for tourists, and it changed their behaviors to cancel their travels or to alter the destinations, avoiding the risky places in the futures. So, what we are facing in the context of COVID-19, the image of countries' crisis mitigations management also determine how is the downturns or the development of tourism sectors later on. Because what we heard so far, some countries had developed a strategy for travel bubble, but we are not sure. It's really depends on how the governments has the mitigation plans in each countries. So while many tourism studies developed the tourist behavior, what factors determine how tourists behave during the crisis, yet it remains unclear of how actual emotion that tourists experience and how they cope with the emotions, just what we are experiencing today. We conducted actually the time from the January to October 20. And also last one, the 179 cities in Indonesia to see COVID-19. So this is the part of the respondent profiles. Most of them is in the Java, but we have Western to Eastern. Now the results. What we are facing now, and how is actually tourists feel now, and how they think about the risk. So, after we use an exploratory factor analysis, we found two dimensions of travel risk in the COVID-19 pandemic context. First is destination local transmission COVID-19 risk, where actually tourists want to avoid the destination due to they think that the destination has a big potential to transmit the COVID-19. So local transmissions is very potential at the destination, so they want to avoid that. And the second one is the self-help vulnerability. It means like they think they are not ready to travel because they have they are not stronger enough to anticipate the COVID-19. Not to forget that we also have 7 dimensions of natural risk because we are living in the Ring of Fire countries. So both of double risk, this is we are facing measurement. Tourism sector is extremely important. Risk is highly multifaceted, complex and specific context according to Domikar and Sari. So the next result is the emotions of tourists. That what we found here is dynamic. So each phase before the lockdown, during the lockdown, and into the new normal phase, they transforms from stress, sad, anxiety to afraid, stressful, and feeling gloomy. And during the new phase, transition from lockdown to new phase, they begin to feel bored, frustrated, being alert, and sad. But what they are facing now, they feel difficulties, alert, bored, and worried. So this is the circle of tourist emotion that we can quadrant. The dynamically change during each of quadrant from the early of 2020 up to October 2020. What has happened here is the longer the tourists experience this crisis, the more travel desire that they feel. They really want to go to travel to somewhere. However, in the real-time travel behavior, they avoiding to travel domestically. So this is actually the real result we want to share with you. So, when the travel intentions its crisis phase seems like unlikely to travel for domestic traveling, but they said almost 90% of them said that future travel intention, they will travel after the pandemic is over. So they keep their travel desires until the pandemic over. But interestingly, majority of them said the pandemic will not be over until 20, or they don't know, they have no idea when the pandemic will be over. So they feel the high uncertainty for the futures, how the future's tourism will be. The questions is actually during this stage, how they cope with the quarantine travel desires. So the next result, we found that they have places to avoid, which is indoor, unfortunately, and sorry to say that they thought the airport is one of the places that they would like to avoid, since they thought it has the high probability to be infected during the linkage from the airport, around the airport. However, they prefer to traveling in the outdoor mindfulness, like healing, forestry, to release their stress close to the natures. And also they conducted virtual interactive tour and coping mechanism such as nostalgic humor content. And what they can do is only around the local trip or road trip, but not with airlines. So here is one of the findings of our structural equation modeling for tourists and coping mechanism encountering risk and emotion. To what extent the nostalgia feeling stimulated their future travel behavior and how they cope with their pandemic situations. Our research shows that their risk actually shape their emotion positively, and emotion positively associated from the nostalgia feeling. Just like what we have experienced now, nostalgia positively influenced the future post-pandemic travel intentions. So, this is what they found. We identified that they conducted activities like looking back, the pictures, the best memory of their travels experience in the past, travel experience, and also they posted sometimes, or they talk, they make a storytelling, and they feel like having a nostalgic feeling. So, for example, how they quarantine their travel distress, I will show you this video. Dengaran suaranya? Can you hear the song? So that's one of the activities they implemented during the difficult time. What is the implication? So actually the nostalgia appeals can be elaborated with the virtual entertainment's economic creative, like for example even virtual concert, Active for 19, virtual tour, nostalgic theme, virtual creative economic with the nostalgic themes, and virtual nostalgic in social networking site using the Instagram and TikTok for examples. So the next recommendations, I think no remember this is actually Noel's villa in the Binabura. Of course, actually this is what I experienced now. Really want to visit Binabura in Queensland and love to see the natures and how the tourists actually coping with their stress or their negative emotions. So they choose to feel the outdoor healing tours like mindfulness travel. So who survived here? So actually what we identify is that amongst others linkage, the community-based tourism in rural areas is the one that not really had a significant impact from the COVID-19. So they try to make a kind of tour package to connect it between the humans and the nature, just like what Professor Ans showed us today. For examples, the nature healing community-based tourism Jawi-Jawi Solo, it established since 3 years ago, and the expansion is really good because they gain 300 growth for tourists and 400 tourist arrivals, and they have the multiple sustainable program package and education tourists. But during the pandemic, they only feel like, okay, there has been a drop, but only slightly for 30% drop, and continues to survive, but their market is still local. However, we ask them to still use the health protocols during all activities. And the other examples of community-based tourism is Nyarai. This is very interesting community-based tourism because Ritno, the CEO of Nyarai, has transformed about more than 100, almost 200 illegal logging workers to the tour guides and tour workers. And we just had an interview with Ritno, says that they applied the health protocol for the tourists, like reducing the numbers of tours for visiting, trekking, doing the adventure tourists, like like a trekking or bushwalking, also rafting. And they said that actually the market sometimes come from regionals, but when the case getting increased, and normally the locals joins the tours, so locals manage to survive. Only about 30% drop during the pandemic. So what about the medium and big scale tourism industry? So we still continue to recommend the intervention with surveillance system, like health system, labors, tracking, tracing, testing, and PCR swab tests periodically for tourists and for tourism workers. And also it will be enhanced by government policy on health protocols. So this is actually the same. Bali applied this actually, but actually West Sumatra already implemented it a couple months ago. So the market for the hotels still the business market, which is government using the convention meeting room and other things. And we still focus on the locals. So here's the examples. The hotel industry just have the PCR test swab for all of the workers to give the tourist assurance, and also the tourists from Australia, the servers, also get the surveillance systems, and we also have an additional like law enforcement that will be implemented this month, and this is West Sumatra is the first amongst others province that firstly implemented the health protocol COVID for all sectors. So we come up with the 4 scenarios for this presentation. So pre-events, prodromal phase, new normal, emergency phase around 2020, new normal phase, intermediate phase in 2021, and we don't know when is certified World Health Organization vaccines distributed. I would like to highlight certified vaccines distributed, and for the long-term recovery, which is still unknown. So what we think so far, the local is still our market until we make sure that everything's okay. So community-based tourism development is need to be managed, and we still use the surveillance system in tourism linkage. And the business market for the big scale industry, also virtual tourists, just like what we are conducting right now, doing the virtual conference, and also the digital market introduction. And in the third quadrant, local leisure, and we probably, if the case is getting down, so we can restarted the tourism with the regional and domestically, virtual, and domestic tourists with the best health protocol and tourism industry choice. And the fourth one, travel bubble, just like what the tourism scholars now discuss, for international markets can be started once everything's can ensure on the right track, and the nostalgia can be used as one of the marketing communications and others program. So we come to the conclusion. First, the tourism industry is extremely susceptible to crisis and disaster, and long-term strategic planning mitigation is highly needed for us. It is important to manage collaboration for the mitigation plans between health sectors and tourism industry. I would like to say that tourism industry cannot walk alone. They need to have the collaborations with the health sectors, particularly for surveillance-based tourism. Tourist behaviors determines the turbulence in tourism sectors. It is highly recommended to have a better understanding about the tourist behavior models in the context of crisis for all stages. Yet their effective and behavior is dynamic changes over the stage, so not static. And treatment of tourism recovery is less likely to be generalized across different countries. So I would like to quote, mention one quote from Martin Luther King that said, "Life most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sari Lenggogeni. What a very interesting presentation. I think I'm the one that does the nostalgia feeling. Because I often share several pictures when I'm traveling, you know, because with this situation we can't do like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we move to the question and answer session. We're going to hear the several insights from our special guest. But first of all, I would like to invite Mr. Ian, as a head of tour and travel. Mr. Ian. Mr. Ian, are you there? Are you join with us? Okay. Your time is yours. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sorry. Keep talking, Mr. Ian. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Mr. Ian Hanifa, for the insight. Mr. Ian is the head of Tour and Travel Association, West Sumatra, ASITA, so already share the current condition to us. The next insight we're going to hear from Mr. Bayan. So Mr. Bayan is from Community-Based Tourism Jawi Jawi, Solo. So Mr. Bayan, are you ready now? All right, so time is yours. warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, of Ekonomi Community. Prof. Prof. Dr. Sari, Dr. Kayatu, and Pusat. I am Natalis, CEO of Community Based Student in Jawi-Jawi. With me, Mr. White and Mr. Dasu. Thank you for this opportunity. I would like to celebrate this time. We would like to report. We had very swift development in our village before pandemic. But COVID did not make significant change. About 30% drop from tourists who like to have drinking and most of them local women. Thank you, and I love to hear from Thailand. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Mr. Bayan. That was a very indifferent situation. So even though in pandemic COVID-19, community-based in tourism Jawi-Jawi is still running, even though it's only 30% decrease. Good luck, Mr. Bayan. And we also had the third insight from Assistant Professor Dr. Watsida Bunyanmetampon from Thailand. She is the Associate Dean for Planning and Development, the Graduate School of Tourism Management, National Institute of Development Administration, NIDA, Thailand. Time is yours, Dr. Watsida.
KT
อะไรอะตัว
So what they are doing, they before we get into tourism in the next few years. The local tour idea that they are developed that with together with HQI, we developed that local tourism professional qualifications that cover occupational and professional qualifications in order to improve the level of service of manpower for especially at that project, and we work and like we collaborating with business, government, industrial sectors, and other stakeholders to identify the required competence to create the occupational standards for tourism like local communities. We come up with 6 areas for local tourism management. First one, local accommodation entrepreneur, storyteller, local restaurant entrepreneur, local traveler experience designers, like what else? Few more, like souvenir local product entrepreneurs, and last area is local personality. So this new area that we developed for improving the quality of professional standards of to service domestic tourism that focus on local communities. And each job that we create, 6 areas have to reverse the representative forward effectively and effectively.
All right.
I think it is a
Yeah.
good platform for developing
Yeah.
professional community-based tourism.
Okay.
And right now, Thailand is working hard to
Yeah.
free environment and new way of tourism.
Yeah.
And I hope this is well.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Watsida. I actually really miss go back to Thailand, to Phuket, but hopefully this condition will be normal soon. So, okay. Good. Thank you very much, Dr. Watsida. Thank you very much for your insight. I do really miss go back to Thailand. I hope one day I can go back to Phuket. Okay, I would like to say thank you for joining us today, our guest from governmental sector. And we also have several guests from the community tourism from around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to the next will be held by our keynote speaker. So we would like to move the question and answer session after the presentation from our keynote speaker today.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sari. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Watsida. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to move to the next agenda. That will be a presentation from our keynote speaker. It's Professor Noel Scott, as Adjunct Professor in Tourism, University of the Sunshine Coast, Australia, that we will share the insight tourism recovery from COVID-19 pandemic. But before I invite Professor Noel with us, I would like to review the biography of Professor Noel Scott. His research interests in tourism experiences, destination management and marketing, and Professor Noel has also been published over 300 academic articles, including 16 books, and also has been joined with the editorial board, 10 journals. And in 2020, Professor Noel has been the leading Australian researcher in tourism and hospitality by the Australian newspaper, and he has been supervised around 23 doctoral students to successful completion of their thesis. And prior to starting working in 2000, 2009, Dr. Scott worked as Senior Manager in a variety of businesses, including as a Manager Research and Strategic Services at Tourism and even in Queensland. So, I would like to invite Professor Noel to come with us. Time is yours, Professor Noel. What's wrong? Kenapa? Apa? So wait for a minute. How is it? So we are waiting for the technical issue will be fixed. Wait for a moment. So while waiting, Professor Noel also, I think several times coming to Indonesia in order to supervise several community tourism best. And I think Professor Noel quite often coming West Sumatra. So while waiting, Professor Noel now is also the member of International Association of China Tourism Scholars and a fellow for the Council. Okay. Because due to the technical issue, I think I'm gonna review the biography of Professor Noel Scott. The Professor Noel Scott is the adjunct professor of tourism management in the Sustainable Research Centre, University of Sunshine Coast, Queensland, Australia. Okay, I think most participants can't wait to meet Professor Noel this afternoon.
Thank you everyone for the opportunity to talk today, and to Dean Efa, the speakers and our moderators. And it's a real opportunity to discuss, I think, it's a really important issue.
Yes, it's available on the screen.
There's been an emphasis on, I think, a positive spin, and so that's very good. I was also very impressed with the community. I love the music, and I think that if you're getting 30% of your previous market, then you're doing pretty well. And I think it's an example of how the market has changed a little bit. Well, of course it's changed. There are no international travel. But that means that we can perhaps refocus on providing the things that our domestic tourists, our perhaps traditional base, can offer. So I want to just talk now briefly about the situation in Australia, perhaps more generally why COVID-19 is different. So there have been, in Indonesia, there have been some problems SARS and across the world we've had problems like Ebola and Zika, but they haven't been focused, they have been focused on particular countries or regions of the world rather than globally. And it's that global impact that is causing so much problem at the moment. In fact, it means that we haven't got international travel. It's not just on focus on middle income countries that has been a part of developing countries. Many of all of the developed countries in the world, perhaps even more than most. Interest rates are at historical lows, which give us less ability to stimulate growth.
Oh, ini tanya jawab nanti berapa orang